What's up, you guys? Welcome back again to your Heroclix headquarters. Today, in honor of Jane Foster Thor joining the MCU, and for some reason also the Avengers video game, I thought it'd be a great time to talk about the top 5 Jane Foster Thors in Heroclix. So without further ado, let's get to the list. Alright, and coming in at number 5 for Jane Foster Thors, we have the uncommon version here from the Mighty Thor set. Now this one, I gotta say, first of all, just note that this is a very, very hard list to do, since all of these Jane Foster Thors are very similar in point value and stats and powers and what they do. So I had a lot of difficulty with just arranging the list. But anyway, I decided to put this one at number 5. But that doesn't mean she's not almost as good as all the rest of them. So she's got a trait that gives her Force Blast, and once per turn, when Thor hits one or more opposing characters with an attack, after resolutions, she may make a range attack targeting a single character that hasn't been attacked this turn. And then, of course, she has, Charge, Quake, 18 Impervious, 4 damage, 7 range is great. Now, if she started with Running Shot instead of Charge, that probably could have pushed her all the way up to like number 2 on the list, maybe, because that would be a great combo with her trait. As is, you have to kind of charge in, maybe Quake to knock back somebody and then shoot. So it's not really the greatest combo. You could also like TK her into position, because it does just say hits one or more opposing characters with an attack. So if you get her into position to make a range attack already anyway, then she could technically shoot twice. But that's a little bit harder to set up. And it just doesn't work well with the charge. So, it's just, if it was a little bit easier to pull off, it would be great. It'd be like a ranged flurry. It is kind of like a ranged flurry. If you give her a Running Shot with like an equipment or something, or even hypersonic or something, there's a lot of ways you can definitely make her better. And I think that really, really ups her playability. So anyway, she's great. She just takes a little bit more effort to pull off than some of the rest of them. So for those reasons, she's coming in at number 5. All right, coming in at number 4, we have the Jane Foster Thor from Captain America and the Avengers, and I will give this one points for having the best sculpt of all the Jane Thors. Just, jumping around with the lightning, so cool. And this was actually a resculpt, but we'll get to that later. So she has a trait, Assembled Avengers, once per turn. When Thor hits, after resolutions, you may roll a d6 on a 5 or 6. If your force has 3 or more friendly characters with the Avengers keyword, remove an action token from Thor, or give an action token to a hit target. If your force has 6+, do both. I love the Avengers Assembled Avengers trait. I just forget it like 99% of the time. It's just such an easy trait to forget. I don't know why, but it is very handy when it comes up. But then she has another trait that says once per turn, when Thor hits, after resolutions, deal 1 penetrating damage to a hit target, then knock that character back 2 squares. So, when she hits, after resolutions, you get a free penetrating damage on them, and you can knock them back. That's very good. Really, really strong against characters with stop clicks, so you can like shoot them onto the stop click, then deal them the penetrating. And you can also knock them back, and with the Avengers Assemble trait, potentially also give them a token. So there's a lot of stuff she can do to really mess with like the positioning and everything of your opponent. 7 range, 9 movement, Running Shot, flight, some energy explosion, imperv, 4 damage. Again, 100 points, just like the last one. So the main reason I like this one a little bit more is she's just easier to pull off as long as you remember the Avengers trait. Running Shot, usually better than Charge. So, just has more reach that way naturally. And then also the free penetrating damage and knockback is kind of cool. And, like I said, if you pull off the Avengers trait, it all works together really neat and really messes with your opponent. Not quite as much damage potential as the other one, but like I said, easier to pull off. So for those reasons, she's coming in at number 4. All right, coming in at number 3 is, I don't actually have it, but it's the same sculpt as the one we just looked at. So again, beautiful 10 out of 10, leaping through the air, lightning bolt sculpt. This one, however, is the original one. that had this sculpt from the Nick Fury Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. set. So I'll post her dial on screen for you guys. She's coming in at a whopping 145 points. She's got 8 range double target, 10 movement running shot with flight, 11 attack, 17 impervious, and 4 damage with shape change. I wish she had an 18 defense to start out with like the rest of them, but you know, she does have double rollouts, so that's pretty nice defensively. And she starts with a trait that says modify Thor's attack and damage values by +1 when targeting a single character that is assigned a relic or resource with an attack. Now this was really great when she came out and relics and resources were still a thing. Nowadays, they're really not a thing anymore. I mean, even if you play Golden Age, you know, you don't really see them too often. So it's really just kind of a useless trait now. You know, I would like to see them maybe give her a legacy card, you know, just drop her like 20 or 30 points and change that trait to, say, equipped characters instead of the assigned relic or resource thing. And I think she'd be totally fine and fun to play again. But regardless, she has these amazing special powers here. Mid-dial on her movement power, she gets Thor can use charge. When she does and moves in a direct line, she does not half her speed value. And if she is not carrying an object, she can use improved movement, ignores blocking terrain, and destroys blocking terrain as the character moves through it. So yeah, full movement charge if you charge in a direct line. And if you don't use her super strength to pick up a heavy object or just pick up a light object randomly, then she also can charge through blocking, which is pretty neat. And you know, objects nowadays aren't really that big of a deal anyway, so more chance that you're probably gonna just charge through blocking anyway. If it comes up. And then on her attack power to start off with, she has energy explosion and improved targeting for characters, elevated and hindering terrain, which is nuts, especially because you got 10 movement on that running shot to start with, 11 attack with 8 range for 4 damage. Yeah, she can see through characters, hindering, elevated, everything but blocking with that 8 range is pretty crazy. You know, those are really, really strong improved targeting abilities to have, especially even just seeing through characters to energy explosion into like the middle of a group of characters. She could get a lot of damage in that way. So yeah, really powerful attack and movement powers to have. And you know, late dial, she gets some close combat expert, so she still keeps her attack and damage up there. She gets some pulse wave. And last click, she has some regen with shape change. If that was a stop click, she could have been like number 1. If she had Avengers keyword, she also would have been higher on my list. I personally don't play as Guardian, Deity, Warrior that much, so if she had Avengers, she definitely would have been higher on my list. I think that kind of subtracted for me personally, just because, I don't know, she doesn't really fit on as many teams that way. Again, if she had a legacy card and they gave her Avengers, that would be awesome. But anyway, she's quite the powerhouse with the improved targeting to start with, and then the supercharge in the mid-dial. So even, you know, by today's standards, I don't think she's too overcosted at 145. Because of those specials, I think she's still pretty solid. So for all those reasons, she's coming in at number 3. All right, and coming in at number 2 on my list, we have Thor Dis. Now this one kind of squeaks in on a technicality. Normally I would exclude like what if universe, other universe figures, but this is just top 5 Jane Foster as Thor, and Thor Dis is essentially just Jane Foster wielding Mjolnir being Thor. And she has Asgardian and Avengers keywords, so I do like to see that. She starts off with Charge, Flurry, and Sidestep. Gotta love Charge and Flurry, and the Sidestep either lets you get a little bit farther reach with that or back off and, you know, hide if you need to. And Stop, Thor Dis can use Defend and can't be healed. So if she hits that stop click, she essentially turns back into Jane Foster, and, you know, she can start healing people, being just kind of an overcosted support piece. But regardless, the stop does mean she can't be just one-shotted, which is very nice. And then she also has a special damage power that gives her a range value of 6. And we can see here she's 105 points, so she's only like 5 more points than the average Jane Thor. So yeah, Charge, Flurry, Sidestep with Flight. 11 attack, super strength, 18 invincible. This is also big for me, the fact that she actually has invincible. None of the other Jane Thors have invincible, so 3 straight clicks of it is nice too. Then you get a little impervious before the stop click. And I kind of like how the damage power that gives her range is on the clicks with regular flurry. So she's got flurry the whole time, but when she can't use charge or sidestep, she at least has range, so she's not just stuck sitting there having to move and then attack next turn. She can actually shoot then. I think that was pretty well designed. So just pretty interesting overall. Charge, flurry, invincible, good damage potential there, a really mean close attacker, and stop clicks are always super useful. So for all those reasons, she's coming in at number 2 for me. Now, as always, before we get to our number 1 pick, I got a few honorable mentions to go through. First of all, I also want to throw an honorable mention to the first Jane Foster that goes way back. It was like an LE figure. She was like 16 points, just had like willpower and support, and I think like an 8 attack. So, you know, not great by today's standards, but for 16 points, she was a good medic back then. You know, considering when things did take damage, they dropped to like 15, 14, 13 or less defense. So an 8 was still pretty good at healing them up. But anyway, taking a look at some of these newer Jane Fosters here, we've got this one from the Mighty Thor set. Mine has like a weird paint thing on the sleeve. It kind of looks like her sleeve's ripping off. But she makes a good battle medic, so maybe it did get torn off, because she has this awesome special damage power that she can use support, even if the target is adjacent to opposing characters. Normally, you can't support if either of you are adjacent to opposing characters, so the fact that she can do it even if they're adjacent to opposing characters is still nice. Then she has this other really cool trait that says opposing characters of 75 points or more can't draw lines of fire to Jane Foster unless it is the only character on the map from that force. And when an adjacent friendly character is KO'd by an opponent's attack after resolutions, you may roll a d6 and replace Jane Foster with Mighty Thor number 17 Thor on a click number equal to the result. So interesting, you actually want to roll really low for that to replace her on like click 1 or 2 or something. But yeah, the fact that she just has to be adjacent to somebody that has to get killed by an opponent's attack, and you can turn her into my number 5 pick, which was this uncommon Thor here, makes her pretty crazy, you know, for 30 points only. She's got 15 defend, 9 attack, so you actually defend them down to a 15, then you use the 9 attack to heal them with support, and that means you only have to roll a 6, which is, you know, pretty easy. So yeah, 30 points, she's a great support healer. And the fact that she can't be targeted by most characters is great too. She was actually better when she came out because most characters were 75 or more points. There's so many good like 50-point attackers now. That probably doesn't come up as much if I was to use her again, but still a very good support piece. But then next we have this amazing Jane Foster as Valkyrie that we just got in the War of the Realms. These awesome golden wings, so much detail in the feathers and everything. It's crazy. So 10 out of 10 sculpt on this one. Like it a lot. And if this was just top 5 Jane Foster in general, I probably would put this one at number 1, actually. She does do a lot of interesting stuff. So she has a trait here that says, choose a standard attack or standard damage power printed on Valkyrie's card. Valkyrie can use the chosen power until she chooses again. So some limited pick a power is great. Pick a power is always great, you know, regardless of how limited it is. And then when a character damaged by Valkyrie this turn would be KO'd but isn't, after resolutions, modify Valkyrie's combat values by +1 this game. Super useful if you're going against like Krakoan Revival, or, you know, the like Captain Americas that heal themselves, or just stuff like that. So yeah, that comes up sometimes. Mainly, I think Krakoan Revival is the main thing that would be coming up nowadays. But then you also have Charge. When Valkyrie uses it, don't have speed unless she has generated a Mr. Horse Bystander this game. Once per game, free, generate a Mr. Horse Bystander. So full movement charge is great until you take the free action to generate your horsey, who has flight with a 12 movement charge, 10 attack, 17 toughness, 2 damage exploit. So Pretty long charge reach there. 10 attack, 2 damage. Exploit is good. He's just a nice little kind of attacker there. Get some damage in. So she's 100 or 60 points. And again, with the 100-point value, I'm kind of sick of it. But it is what it is. So we've got full movement charge until she generates the Mr. Horse, 11 attack quake, 18 impervious, and 3 damage with outwit. And you can pick an attack or damage power. So, you know, you pick prob, maybe pick close combat expert. So she's got a 12 for 4. Pick blades if you really want to get risky with it. But yeah, then she has regular charge, 10 attack blades, 17 invuln, and 3 damage with prob if you want to play her at 60. And again, you can still pick any of those powers for her trait. So you could pick quake or outwit or close combat expert or whatever if you needed. So I think she's pretty good at both. I prefer her at the full 100. I think the full charge, the extra health, and, you know, generating the Mr. Horse, definitely worth it in my opinion. But anyway, these are both really awesome versions of Jane Foster, and I just wanted to give them an honorable mention here since, you know, this is just top 5 Jane Foster as Thor, but there's only 5 Jane Foster Thors. I at least thought it'd be good to give them a shout out here. But without further ado, let's get on to our number 1 pick. All right, and the Jane Foster that's worthy of the number 1 spot for me is the newest one from War of the Realms. I love the sculpt on this one. Not quite as epic as the other one that was flying around with the lightning, but really cool nonetheless. And so yeah, this one is a unique, and she does some very unique things. So she starts with this trait, Let Fly Mjolnir. Free, if Thor hasn't been moved or placed this turn, and no opposing character is adjacent, generate a Mjolnir marker, max 1. Free, roll 2d6. For each d6 result, you choose the order. Choose a horizontal or vertical direct path from the Mjolnir marker, and then place the marker exactly that many squares away along that direct path. If either path first crosses a square occupied by an opposing character, remove the marker and then make a close attack targeting that character regardless of adjacency, or a piece of blocking terrain, remove the marker and then destroy that piece of blocking terrain. So this is really good first to kind of move her up into position and then place the marker, right? You probably want to place that free marker when you're already in a good position to be close enough to throw it at somebody, basically, or to destroy a wall first, so then she can charge in behind it, you know, if they bury her up or something like that. So there's a lot of uses for that. Then she also has charge. When Thor uses it, if her Mjolnir marker is not on the map, do not have speed, which, you know, super good, full movement charge. And then impervious, energy shield deflection, but only if Thor's Mjolnir marker is not on the map. So, you know, you start with the full movement charge, and you got impervious and energy shield, so long as her Mjolnir marker is not on the map. Otherwise, you just got charge imperv, which is not amazing, but again, you really only want to drop that marker when you're pretty sure you can actually do something with it like that turn, right then and there. So 11 attack, 4 damage, really solid. Then she gets some sidestep, quake, toughness, outwit. Then some flurry and some close combat expert is a pretty nasty combo there at the end. And she keeps that special impervious energy shield. I just like this one because I think it's really interesting with the Mjolnir. She can kind of make 2 attacks if you set it up right. She has the energy shield, and the full movement charge is really nice. And also, you know, that extra click of health versus if you take a look at all the other ones, except for the like 145.1, they all have 6 clicks of health. This one at least has 7, which is part of the reason I put her at number 1. That, and, you know, she, like I said, she has a chance to make 2 attacks every turn with the Mjolnir marker. She even has a chance to make an attack every turn when she's double tokened with the Mjolnir marker. And yeah, just a little better defended with the energy shield. I wish she had a little range to be able to shoot from, but the full movement charge can kind of make up for that. And yeah, I don't know. She's just the most fun in my opinion too, because having Mjolnir fly around is really cool. But yeah, anyway, for all those reasons, I'm putting her at number 1. Alright guys, so that does it for this top 5 list. As always, if you enjoyed it, make sure you strike that like button. Let me know down in the comments who your favorite Jane Foster Thor is and who you'd like to see on a future top 5 list. And if you haven't already, make sure you click that subscribe button so you don't miss any future videos. And if you guys would like to help support the channel even more, check the links in the description for our Patreon so you can see your name here in the credits with all these other awesome people. And that's going to do it for this one, so thanks again so much for watching. Until next time, this has been Heroclix Headquarters, signing off.